Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the Sound Mind Strategies podcast. This is your host, Evan, and alongside me, as usual, is my lovely wife.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I am, I'm a little tired today, but that's okay. We've had a busy morning. We took, Cooper to some of his therapy visits. So I think it's just been kind of a busy morning.
Yeah, trying to knock those out as best as possible. Like he's got to do his 10 supervised visits before he's officially therapy dog certified. He's passed all his tests. He's just got to get those visits in. Life has been, I don't want to say busy, hectic, any negative connotation. It's been great. It's been fun, but just a lot's going on for us. So his visits have kind of taken they've been on the chopping block a little bit, but
they have. But it went good today. We went to it was a nursing home, and he did pretty good with the elderly people. I mean, he was a little rambunctious, but
he's still young, eventually. And he gets there and he sees the other dogs and new people, and he thinks it's like a big play session. But give him a few minutes, he calms down, and he really does like do well. And and all the seniors that were there in the nursing home, they really loved him and really
kept saying thanks for coming to visit us.
It was
Cooper.
Great. It was fun.
Cooper the Trooper is what they named him, right?
Yeah. So this is episode number 34, which because of the 2 weeks from the podcast that we took off during Baby Moon session, that marks week 36 for you.
Yes.
In this pregnancy. So do you have any stats or updates for us?
Not a ton. The pregnancy journal that I have just talks a lot about some of the things that are happening with the baby of growing. Toenails, fingernails are all complete, and kind of talks a little bit about like false labor versus actual labor, which is kind of nice to read over. So that's mainly the pieces that it's talking about, and the doctor's appointments will start being every week now.
Yeah, that's really, it's bittersweet for me on this because I think we talked that I started a new job on Monday.
Yeah.
I think we brought that up last week. If not, yay, I got a new job. But yeah, so it always worked out great where I could go to all your visits with you. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. And it was a lot of fun to be there and kind of see what was going on firsthand. But so I start my new chapter there, and these last few weeks, I won't be able to go to the visits with you.
I know.
But I know you're in good hands, obviously. Not like I did anything. I just sat there and watched.
It was nice to have the support, but it'll be okay. I'll fill you in.
Yeah, thanks.
When I see you at work.
We're pregnant. First time dad's pregnancy handbook. I know I reference this every week, but that's the book for the new listeners. That's what I've been checking in on. So it's basically a guide week by week on what's going on with mom, what's going on with baby. So it gives nice little stats and updates and some to-dos, and it's really good. I've really enjoyed this book. It helps out and reminds us to, be thoughtful and helpful, and what can we do, and don't forget the appointments, and just to take care of mama. She's working hard, working overtime. So just something kind of fun. Like now your appointment isn't actually in a couple of days, so we're not sure how closely you are trending to what this says, but it says baby's probably around 6 pounds, anywhere from 18 to 19 inches in length. So this is obviously just a general, and I think our baby has kind of always been hitting right in that middle. So that's probably probably pretty close. Still gaining weight. Size of a head of romaine lettuce. All right.
We always tease, aren't we? We're like, is that organic? Or is that...
that GMO huge stuff.
Exactly, right. Could be a lot of different things.
Baby's cheeks are filling out. Movements in the womb are more subtle. And that's probably just because he's taking up a lot of room in there. I don't know. Is that what you kind of think?
True. And that's a good point. They are actually feeling a little more subtle. And I'm feeling like 2 movements at once. So it's like, I think it's like his head over here and his legs over here, kind of like left and right. So it's kind of funny feeling it like all across the belly. But
Is this for mom stats? Let's see. Hormones are loosening mom's connective tissue. So that relaxin, that's the name of that hormone.
Such
that
a cool
is,
name.
it kind of happens early on, and I think just kind of naturally trends even more, increases as you get closer and closer. So all your joints and connective tissue can do what it's supposed to do when baby actually shows up.
Feels so relaxed.
Swelling in her lower extremities, back pain, poor sleep, those kind of things. What do you got?
Some are pretty
true.
Some are pretty true. Sleep has been
you have
a little
been
off a little bit here and there, but
unfortunately, I sleep is so important, and it's always something that we have, found a great deal of importance in our own lives. So for me to see you suffering with sleep, it's like, oh no.
And I think part of it too is like with us moving into our new house, I'm kind of nesting from afar. So I'm looking at pictures of our new home online and thinking, oh, I got to put this here. We can put this here. Oh, we're going to need this. And so it's just like, settle down.
Yeah. Like, at least I have heard more of the nesting thing, like, and then to kind of see you doing it now, but like, we're not into the new home yet. So how you've been doing your version of nesting.
Virtually.
It's actually been pretty cool. Like you have photos up of, the new room that's going to be the nursery, and you're setting it up in your mind, and that way you just know exactly where stuff's going to go.
Yeah, it'll be easy. I'll draw a little chart out, and this goes there, that goes there.
We've been working really closely with our realtor, and just everything sounds like it's going to be able to get that closing date pushed up. So
That'll be
thank you
nice.
everyone for sending all the prayers and vibes and whatever we
thank you. Whatever you sent.
We thank you. Whatever you sent.
It helped.
Yeah.
It's helping.
It's helping. So, but yeah, everything's going really well with that. We're super excited to be getting moved in. We are picking out a couple things that we need. We need a new little couch. We need washer and dryer. So we've been picking those things out and getting stuff measured as best we can from afar. And it's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. Baby stuff is going well. Like all the final little pieces, like finally made a decision on stroller, car seat kind of stuff. Like I am way too, I dive way too deep into the research, and I enjoy it, but
yeah, you do a good job with it.
It's a minefield out there. Like there's so many. But I finally made a decision. And Anina just got hands off on this like a couple months ago. She's like, I don't care. Just leave it alone. Just make a decision. Evan.
Yeah.
So I finally did.
Yeah,
so
you do a really good job at
it's
doing
here,
that.
and I'm excited. So that's great.
Me too. I'm excited that I didn't have to do all the work.
Yeah.
I would be like, let's just get one of those $20 strollers. No, I'm joking.
No, it's been fun. It's like playing that game between like super safe, super nice, and then trying not to also break the bank, because
exactly
some of those get really, really, really expensive.
Yeah, I'm like, this thing should do a whole lot more than for that price.
But finally made a decision, so
yeah,
I'm excited.
Decision fatigue is over.
All right.
So let's jump into our topic.
Well, before we do, I just want to hit, this is just, January 4, we did New Year's Eve, or the kind of the New Year's resolution thing topic last week. I just wanted, just real quick, I didn't want to go down the whole rabbit hole, but just a short little recap, maybe more just like what our resolutions were. How, are we finding that, we're sticking to what we said? Granted, this is only 4 days in, but I think 4 days is a nice little marker.
It is.
So what do you think? Do you remember yours?
No, what was mine? No, I'm joking.
Was it real?
Yeah. Did I really make one? So mine was really to work on being more like present. And I have been working diligently on that and noticing when I'm not being present. So really for me, it was just noticing when it happens, congratulating myself when I notice it, and then just returning back to whoever's in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've actually been doing a really good job of that. I haven't made like a tally or anything of I've done it 5 times out of but it has been nice because I feel like I'm being more present, and like we've talked about being where your feet are at. I feel like I'm doing a lot better at that. So it feels good to actually work on that because that is hard for me. So it's going well. 4 days in.
Awesome.
And I'm catching myself and being easy on myself when I notice it. So
fantastic.
That's my update.
Yeah. So mine was very, very similar. It's just to live every single day, instead of kind of waiting for the future or always just like attending to the future. Yeah. So I feel very much the same in that regard. Just like I'm really excited about the process and like this whole thing with the house and the baby and the job, all that kind of like landing within a couple weeks of each other. You know, that's my life, and that's the story that I get to tell. It might be a little hectic, but it's not going to be anything more than I can handle, and especially with you and other family and friends and just my support group. So I'm really excited, and it just lets me attend to today and all the things that we get to do today. Same thing. I just have to pull back and just enjoy the process instead of always be thinking about the future. So
yeah, and I like what you shared with me last night about like the different types of mountains.
Oh, right, yeah.
You should share that. It was really
yeah. So
it was really neat.
When we first moved down here, you know, I feel like God was saying, this is where you're going. Like, this is what you're doing. Like, I had a vision in my own mind. Of what I thought my life journey was going to be. And, it's since taken a change already, and it's exciting. So I was kind of explaining this to you of climbing mountains, and these two mountains I used are climbs, I guess, in Tucson that we had ridden bikes up and stuff. So one is steeper but it's shorter. It's not quite as long. But the road pitch is much steeper, the gradient. So I'm thinking like, so if you're standing at the bottom of them, you know, it almost looks higher. Where the other one, like the gradient's much more gradual,
yeah.
But the climb is much, much, much longer. So the actual highest point, altitude level, like the more gradual one, is a higher point. So, you know, I felt like God was saying like, no, we're going to take this route, and it's going to take a little bit longer to get there. But the gradient's not quite as hard, and it's not quite as, you know, drastic. You know, you're not going to climb super fast,
right?
But,
slow and steady.
You know, yeah, we're going to get there, and because that's what I felt like I needed. Like, you know, I was later in life, so he was just going to like fast forward me to get to the top of the mountain, and he's like, no, I'm going to actually take you higher and take you further. It's just going to take longer, and it's a different route. So, you know, it's kind of, I see it in my brain, but I don't know if I can like articulate it quite as well, but that's just kind of what I felt like. It's just, he used that to help me make the leap and get down here. But to also stay excited about every single day.
Exactly.
And just roll with the punches, you know, like if I end up doing nothing at all close to related to what I originally thought I was going to do, that's fine. You know, like I ultimately have to trust his plan versus my plan. So
it's so true. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I like your analogy of all that. So that was good.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
All right.
So what do we got this week? What do you, you came up with this topic and kind of really did a lot of good research on it. And I kind of would like to see if you would maybe take the reins on it, just because like you know a lot about this and have dug very deep into it. And so you kind of want to give us a quick little overview of
what it is.
Yeah.
So today our topic is approval addiction. And it's something that I know I personally have struggled with a lot in my life. And it's really just the whole premise of seeking worth from the outside, because you can't find it within. It's kind of at the heart of what approval addiction is. There's even a great book on it as well. Joyce Meyer wrote it. We can put that in the show notes too, but it's called Approval Addiction. I read it years and years ago, but it was a really, really good book, as I recall. So just thought this would be something.
You said that was the title, Approval Addiction by Joyce Meyer?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. And just thought this would be something good to bring up because in conversating with other people, I'm finding, I'm not the only one who has struggled with this and still struggles with it from time to time. I mean, I know I've made progress in not letting the approval of other people become such an addiction, the approval or the unapproval of them. But it's still something I have to work at daily.
Oh yeah. I think most people are probably aware of maybe if they're not aware of the actual name that you're giving this, approval addiction, they're aware of that feeling or sensation coming into a new place or whatever they're into. There's always those that have been doing it longer than you or those at the pinnacle of whatever it is, that sport, that job, school, whatever. There's always those people that hold that high rank, that
yes.
they come into and they're like, okay, if that person approves of me, then everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be good. Or I'll have one over if I can win over this person, I'll have one over everyone kind of thing. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That resonates very much with me. I've grown up with and felt like that a lot in a lot of different things. It's an area that I've tried to make stride in and just like understand how unhealthy that could be. And so,
yeah. So it's like, even as we're talking, you've gone through it too and have had to work through it. And I think just even starting off, just kind of knowing, knowing if you are addicted to the approval of others, like, how do you know? And some things that I've just found for my own self, for me, and it's not like an all-inclusive list of things, but you may have your own that you kind of notice after I go through this. But one of the things I know I struggled with, which kind of was an indicator that I needed the approval of others, was I struggled to say no to other people. Like, I just would always be like the yes lady,
Yeah.
Anything they needed me to do, I'd say yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And not picking on you, but I completely saw that from the outside. And I saw kind of the turmoil it caused in you and other relationships too, because you would just always be saying yes. And even if you had to step on others, or not step on others, but kind of like shortchange others, because you were always saying yes. So your commitments became so much.
Yeah, it became overwhelming. And it was just like, oh my goodness, I'm not doing anything with quality. I have a lot of quantity going on, but no quality. And so that was a good indicator for me. Like, oh my gosh, we got to work on this. Also just like measuring my self-worth on what others would say or think about me. So, I could be walking in, somewhere feeling great about myself, and, somebody says something like, just like, what happened to you? Or what are you wearing today? Or like, whoa, like just something totally off the wall. That's just is very, just kind of unkind. I would immediately all of a sudden be like, whoa, feel like, I mean, I'm 5 foot tall, but I would start to feel like I was
3 foot tall.
3 foot tall, right? And I would just totally feel so deflated, and it's like, I would let what the other people said about me determine how I felt about myself and my worth. Another thing for me too is like, I wasn't even sure what I wanted for myself. Like, if you were to ask me what I want for myself, it's like, I don't know. I'm so busy saying yes and worrying about what everybody else thinks. I don't even know what I want for myself. So that was a kind of a wake up call too. Like,
yeah, I relate to that, like not knowing what I wanted for myself, and also kind of what you said. I was not a yes person. Like, that was one area that I didn't necessarily struggle with, because I valued my time, almost in a selfish regard, I think, but I valued my time so much that I was very selective on who I would say yes to.
Mm-hmm.
But gaining self-worth from others was a big area for me, like seeking their approval, or if they would say something kind of maybe completely joking, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
I would kind of take that stuff to heart, like, oh, why would they say that? Like, well, even if there's some truth to everything that they say,
You always hear that, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when people are joking, there's a little bit of truth in there. So it's like, oh no, they must really think that.
I don't know, that kind of stuff was weighing on me a little bit, and I would always seek my approval, at least, especially from an area that I had some competence issues, or anything. If I struggled in that area, if I didn't feel 100% confident in that area, I would definitely need that validation from others.
Yes. Yeah. And before you know it, it's like, I feel like it's like a, and my head what just popped in my head was like an Easter egg hunt. You have your basket and you're just going around looking for all these eggs to fill up your basket.
Will you say something nice to me?
Yeah,
will you say something good about me?
Yeah, which one? Like, oh, you just smiled at me and da-da-da, you know.
Yeah,
so
instead of just like being able to look in the mirror and tell yourself something good.
Exactly.
Feel really something good about yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And the other one that came to me too was just not really going after something that I want to do. Like maybe someone told me, you know, you can't do that or you wouldn't be good at that or really. And just kind of, you know, they're just giving their own opinion on it. And it would just be like, okay, yep, you're right. And I would just totally stop that thought from ever growing, you know? So just not growing into a dream or aspiration. That's kind of got
to suck. Really. Right. I mean, if you have this dream, this thought, idea, interest, like people talk about passion, but like, what is passion? At least where does it come from? It comes from just an interest in something that sounds interesting. Passion isn't just like this thing inside of you. I have this passion for fill in the blank. I have this interest for something. I learn a lot about it and I spend a lot of time in it and I develop and grow passion. I think passion is developed, not innate. So interest is more innate. So if someone doo-doos on your interest, which could have been the spark that grew passion, you know, that's kind of stinks, you know? And then to maybe flip that and just say, have I ever done that to somebody? Have I been the person to doo-doo on their interest because it wasn't interesting to me? Right. Who cares if it's not interesting to you? Like, takes all kinds, right?
It does.
How boring would this place be if we all did and acted and lived the same way?
That's so true. That's so true.
And that's kind of a little tangent from approval addiction, but I mean, it kind of, you know, that's what it is. Like, together, I want you to like me, and if I'm so narrow-minded that I can only like people that like and do the exact same thing that I do, you know, then kind of see how it can lead into that. So
it definitely can. You're so right. And I'd say some things now to kind of move into like ways to help yourself if you're somebody
well, instead of, I think before you go into ways to help, like what are some of the things, like the implications of it? Like what are some of the, like, how does it affect you?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. So for me, how it affects me is that it drains my energy because I'm always on the hunt to to look for that approval. So I end up feeling very weary, exhausted. Also, it just it really erodes your confidence in yourself because it's like for me, it was like I didn't trust myself at all. I had to have the trust. I had to almost hold on to someone else's trust or confidence or belief in me because I didn't have it for myself. So those are the two things that come up for me that seemed to really take over. I noticed in my life.
I guess maybe just to flip the script, and you might say completely nothing to this, but I just wrote it down just to at least question it. And if we think of approval addiction, and if we look at everything that you have talked about, how do we know if we are? You just now said a couple things on what are some negative implications have from it. It drains you and always chasing around the approval of others. Right. Is there any positive things that could come from that approval addiction?
It's a good question. Any positives? I mean,
not to say that it's worth, seeking approval of others constantly because you get this one little positive. I mean, obviously I think you would hopefully agree with this, that, the negative versus maybe you can't even think of a positive, but say you do come up with something obviously I feel like the negatives would far outweigh the positives. But just for sake of discussion, is there anything that could be a benefit?
Yeah. So what I'm kind of thinking too of I think for me, it's what kind of comes to mind is that, I can prefer to have the approval of others and feel good when I get it. But at the end of the day, I can still feel like a worthy person when I don't get their approval from other people. So I think it can be, I think it can be something that you can prefer to have, like approval of other people. But I think the part that I don't want in my life is the addiction part, where it's like, I have to have that. Like, I think it's helpful for us human beings to be affirmed by other people. And
I think that's part of the social aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it lets us know we're kind of on the right track. We're not the complete outlier, right?
Exactly.
There's some of that to let you know you're within the proper boundaries.
Exactly. And it can sometimes help propel you on, when you get those attaboys. But I think the part is just like not letting that like fuel you and drive you, that your values within and what you bring to the table, and that, not going to be shaken no matter what somebody says. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, I think for me too, I've had to figure out, like, don't go to two extremes. I have a really hard time. I really work on finding balance in things. So it's like, I can see myself going, at least I was at this point in my life, like total approval addiction, and then swing to the other side of like, I don't care what anybody thinks.
Completely, completely don't care.
Right. And I feel like I've gone through periods like that in my life where I'm just like, whatever, I don't really care.
Okay. So what's the proper balance? I mean, we've heard a lot of things of and we've even spoke of balance on this podcast. I forget the name of the episode, but number of the episode. But anyway, balance is a topic that is something that we've touched on, and we've said screw balance.
Right.
And I think that was a really good topic and a really good idea. But for most people, they're not going to do screw balance. And I think in most people's lives, even in mine, I don't say that. I do live to some level of balance. So what do you feel like the proper level of approval seeking versus saying like, I don't care?
Yeah.
How do you strike that balance?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll first share what came, was a visual of like, so I always get these visuals. It's like so funny, but like when you take that picture and you stand between two states, like I have a foot in Illinois and a foot in Missouri or whatever.
Yeah.
And kind of, I don't even know why that came to me, but it's
That'd
almost
be hard.
like,
I think there's a river there.
True. That'd be like a big straddle.
Other states.
Yeah. Never mind. Not those two states. I don't know. That would be like
long legs.
Yeah, exactly. We know I don't have those. But almost like I just imagine like your feet are firmly planted in both sides of that state.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're not getting wobbled, like if the wind comes or a snowstorm comes, whatever, you're not running and hiding. You're still staying firm and strong, where you're at. And so let me think where I'm trying to go with that. But that's the visual that came to me.
I think I know what you're saying. Like, let me just try.
Yeah.
Like, and let me know if
I get the picture, you give the words.
Yeah. Let me know if I'm like way off on this, but, to be able to touch base with both, like you're on both bases, like you understand the importance of, saying I'm going to live life my way, but I'm also going to pay attention enough to what other people are saying and doing, but being careful with who those people are. It's not everyone. Not everyone makes that list.
Yes.
Right. So attaining to a small list of people that I trust their opinion.
Yes.
It's not necessarily their approval so much, but it's, their opinion, their trajectory on life, their thought on life. Like, I understand. I don't have to agree with everything, but they are moving forward.
Yes.
Right. And the other part of it is I trust myself enough to make the right decision.
Exactly.
Eventually. I don't have to make it every single time, and failure is a good thing, and making mistakes is a good thing, but knowing that those mistakes are ultimately propelling me the right way, because every choice I make, I'm ultimately trying to make the best one and not just mess up on purpose, but to also not let those mistakes, like I'm not defined by my mistakes, but they're ultimately just like data points and moving me forward. So I trust myself enough to move in that direction, but I also have these group of people, that I trust their opinion and that they're going to keep me on track, and I'm going to be able to bounce ideas and thoughts and stuff off of. Is that right?
Bam.
Are those your
you
two?
got it. You
are
got
those
it.
your two states?
Yes, I love this. I'm going to start talking about the pictures of everything I see, and you put words to it. That was beautiful.
Well, we've been together for a long time.
We have. That's true.
We don't we're just now on kid number 1. So that many years of spending, and we ride together, we run together, we do all these things. It's just us. Like,
right.
we kind of
Get to know each other.
Finally on the same wavelength.
Yeah. But thank you. That was a great way to explain it. So that was beautiful.
You're very, very welcome.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's.
You mean like a whole positive implication?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just to say it like this, like, I don't think there are any positive implications to approval addiction.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to make that, because that is our main topic, addiction of approval seeking and stuff like that. No, absolutely not. Just like any other addiction, yeah, there are feel goods, but is it positive? No.
Right.
Now, is there a positive from seeking or from getting approval from others? Yeah, just like what we said. If there are a predefined group of people, or it doesn't even, I think even when you do that predefined, it can be hard, because you can just say, well, I hand selected these people that always approve of everything I do because they're, my yes people, or they're my tribe. But I want people to like question me. I want people in that group to say,
so true.
I want people that love me enough, care about me enough, and true enough to say, you stepped over the line. You're out of bounds. You need to go make that right, or you're on the wrong path, or, I want those people, that kind of group. I don't want just people to say yes to everything just because, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're with a group that always says yes, I think you really need to question that group.
Are you really going to grow with that?
Or if you're the kind of person who always says yes, even in your heart, if you said, man, I wouldn't treat my wife that way, or I wouldn't act that way, whatever, have the guts to say that. Like,
that's hard.
If you call them friend, if they call you friend, that's friend.
True. Very true.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's tough though.
I agree.
It's really hard.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
So easy to say right now, but in the moment it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to have them disapprove of you. Really is the heart of it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No one likes that.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to deal with. Okay. So can I move on to ways? Thank
Please.
you. Thank you.
Can put both feet back in one state.
In Illinois and Missouri.
Yeah. Jump in the river this time.
Exactly.
Okay. So what do we got next?
Yeah. So some things.
This is like, we've identified kind of what it is. We've talked about like, how do you know if you're dealing with it? We've talked about some of the negative implications of it, and how it can like, negatively impact your life, going forward. So now I got it. I'm dealing with it. I see these ways that it's affecting me and my family and friends and all these things. Okay. I want to move forward.
Yeah. How do I do that? Exactly. So first thing is, start to understand on a deeper level, that all of your values come from within, and just knowing yourself, and just stopping and pausing to really check in with yourself. And I think just some questions, to perhaps ask yourself. And I think when you ask yourself these questions, take the answer that comes from the heart and not so much from the brain, because the brain will get in there and start to muddle it all up. And so for me, the thought that first comes to my mind is typically from my heart, like the immediate one, and then like 2 seconds later, the brain kicks in.
Then you get all the other
ones, all the flood of everything.
I better go with that. That's safer.
Yeah, exactly. And so asking yourself, like, could I let go of wanting to get approval from this person or that person, whatever? Almost like identify a person in your mind. Just maybe start with one person is what I've done. And just think like, could I let go of wanting to get approval from this person?
Is that kind of like a baby step?
A baby step, exactly.
Like yeah.
Second question to ask yourself is, okay, would I? Third question is, when?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then, and exactly, that could be the first one that comes up. Your first response. And then number 4, could I allow myself to give myself approval, to give myself love as best as I can? Can I allow myself to give myself that love? Basically, like give my own self approval. Basically love myself. Can I allow myself to do that? And I think
because that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how you say that, because like you're dealing with you and yourself almost as 2 parts. Really it is, because one, you have to have the thoughtfulness of giving yourself love, care, and compassion. And then on the other part of it, you have to be able to receive it from yourself, which is kind of weird to talk about it, but it's really 2 steps.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. It kind of is 2 steps in that one. Yeah, that's very true.
Because you can just look in the mirror and just say, man, you look really good. But then the other part in the back of your mind is like, whatever. No, you don't. Your hair's jacked up, or you got
very true.
mud on your face or whatever,
Yeah.
Pick it.
Exactly. So it's like kind of just going with that first one and saying, yep, I heard you. I heard that second thought, which was the brain. But guess what? I'm holding on to this one.
Yeah.
And I think each time we can just maybe even use some of these questions to go over. It'll help provide a little bit more relief for you, because each time you work on it, you can get a little more peaceful about it. And it's kind of like anything. It's anything like any addiction. It will rear its head up at different times in your life. You could be doing really good, and then it, bam, comes up again, kind of thing. So it's just one of those things, I think, just remembering to be patient and also persistent with yourself. Like if this is really something you want to work on to get over, really start to do it. Because really, all in all, you yourself, is the only one that has the power to change any of it and to set yourself free from that addiction as well.
That's cool. That's a good thought.
Yeah. So, and it's just, in my mind too, I just think about it, it's like a constant reframing of my thoughts,
And probably just like anything, like if we just look back and kind of tie this into last week's episode of New Year's resolutions and just like how to make them like actual life changes. This is probably very much in that same vein of just, it's going to take time. It's a process, and to be able to celebrate the small victories. Like you said, if you're naming one person at a time, like, pick the person that has the least consequence to you.
Right.
Whatever the easiest one is. Like I see them the least, or, maybe I see them the most, but I really kind of don't really care, or they drive me nuts. And I just want to, that's the one I really want to get rid of first.
Yeah.
However you need to structure that for you, but just knock them off one person at a time. And like you said, that win is really, really important. Like,
yes. Put a little timestamp on it.
You don't have to do them all. You don't have to do one every day. You can timestamp them according to what fits and feels right for you.
That's so true. And I think even practicing that all present awareness too, which part of my being present of what I'm working on too, is when I'm around somebody, not thinking, oh, what are they thinking about me right now? Did that just sound stupid? Are they thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that, it's like, no, just stay present in what's happening right now, and not get so carried away in your thoughts. So yeah, great way to tie that back into last week's episode too. Would you say that there's any like tips or tricks that you've tried or that you feel like are helpful?
I think a lot of it is just small things that we've mentioned. They might not even have any connection just by looking at it on face value, but they kind of really do. It's just finding that mindfulness practice, developing something like that because what is that? You're taking time out of your day, which could be, especially if you're a yes person, kind of like what you had described, saying yes to everyone. You're saying yes to you. So you're giving yourself value. You're giving yourself kind of worth, right?
Yeah.
So if you'd struggled in that, just start small. And maybe that's the first thing to do instead of saying no to someone else. Maybe just practice. Yes, it is another addition, but this is the most important addition. You're saying yes to yourself. You're finding value and strength within yourself. So developing a mindfulness practice, if it is a little bit of meditation, if it's reading, if it's breathing exercises, something where you're taking time purposefully, thoughtfully, and pre-planned for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that has been one of the biggest ways for me is to schedule me in the day. And then as that grows and as that develops, I want more of that so I can extend that time. And then because of that, because it's an actual value and I'm so easy to see the benefit of that each day, it's easier to say no to someone else. Like, I'm busy. You don't have to explain what you're doing. Just, I don't have time. I'm busy, or I have plans at that time. Even if it's for your 5-minute mindfulness practice.
Exactly.
Like, no, I can't be there until this time.
Exactly.
Because I have time for me.
Because I'm important here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something that's helped me out a lot. And then just something kind of like what we've all touched on. It was kind of both of our New Year's resolutions kind of hit on this, was being where your feet are, being present, being thoughtful. It's again another mindfulness thing, but it's enjoying the journey, trusting yourself, and realizing that you are unique.
Yeah.
And you were put here for a purpose. And if you're saying yes to everyone else, you're really just attending to their purpose instead of yours.
Oh, so true. So true. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think really it's simple. It's not like, earth-shattering stuff there, but it's small, simple things that, like at first glance, you don't see how maybe a mindfulness practice or a little meditation practice or exercise or whatever you want to fill in the blank, reading or whatever, how that can actually kind of start to cut ties for approval addiction. Because I think at the root of approval addiction, in my mind, this is my thought, my opinion, so don't take it to the bank or yell at me if I'm wrong. But in my mind, the root of it is there's just no value for yourself. I mean, you're seeking from others what you're lacking to be able to give to yourself.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Because you don't see that you have any value, so you have to just go pick it around from everybody else. Yeah. Yep. I see that.
Do you have anything else? That kind of, I feel like we've landed it pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's just, I think it's just a good reminder that, we have the power of making the changes. And I know I mentioned that earlier, but I think just understanding that I got to do the hard work, and anything worth having takes time and it's hard work. So, but
it's meaningful. It's worthwhile.
And it is.
I mean, you'll be happy you did it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, cool. Any final thoughts, opinions, topic or non-topic related, maybe?
No, I think kind of as we're nearing the end, I know you were going to make an announcement that we are going to have somebody.
Yeah, we're going to have our first guest on. We haven't actually decided on the actual release date.
Yes.
But we're going to have, should be January.
Yes.
If not, it'll be just very early February. But we're going to have our first guest on there, and then we're going to try and push out. The goal is a guest a month, so that's going to be really exciting. That's kind of the big push for 2020. Bear with us on kind of going to have, hopefully grant us some patience there when baby comes.
Yeah.
We're going to try. The goal is to try to have a couple of like maybe guest episodes, even if they end up being back to back, or we might do just a couple shorter episodes around that time. So that's kind of what it's looking like. And due date is February 2nd. So it should be like that late January, early to mid February, just depending on when he decides to show up. So
yes.
So that's kind of going forward. Are we going to kind of hold our first guest?
Yeah, we'll hold off. Hold off from mentioning this person yet.
I think you're really going to be excited. I can't say she is phenomenal. She's got so much insight, just a lot of fun. So you're really going to enjoy that one. There will be more to come on that for sure. We'll make sure to blast that out, and but you should be listening to them all anyway. So
exactly. We know you are anyways, because actually we need to announce too that we had our 2,000, right? We met our 2,000.
Yep. So we've hit our 2,000. We wanted to make a big push for 2,000 by the end of 2019. We're a handful short, so not a big deal. We understand this is a long game, and But we do want to say a huge thank you to
that was
everyone who
awesome.
does listen on the regular and who has been sharing and subscribing and pushing our content out and really following along and engaging. I think the biggest thing for us is, not to be so numbers oriented, but to get good engagement. We want to be there for you guys and really kind of develop that good core audience. And we just want to say thank you to all of you that listen. We really do appreciate everyone who rates the show and leaves a review. That is huge for us. Like in the podcast world, ratings and reviews, interaction is really what drives it to new listeners. So for everyone who has done that, thank you. If you have not, please, just on whatever platform that you listen to us on, leave a rating, leave a review for us. We'd love to hear from you guys. We love those 5-star ratings. Don't just leave a 5-star if you don't think it is. But if it's not, maybe reach out to us and let us know what we can do to make it better and get that 5-star rating from you. We're definitely not seeking ratings or reviews, but really just trying to be a service to everyone. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can follow us at Sound Mind Strategies on Instagram, and then we're also on Facebook, and then we have the private group on Facebook as well. Our Sound Mind Strategies tribe, where we can interact in a closed group and with like-minded people and kind of continue the conversation from these episodes. So, you can follow my personal Instagram account. I'm pretty active on there, is Evan_Blankenship. And then you can follow Anina.
I'm Anina_Renee, RENEE.
Yeah, so you can follow us there. We'd love to see you guys, hear from you, interact with you. So
definitely.
I think with that, we do have a couple more spots open for coaching. We are kind of like reaching our capacity right now, so that's awesome. We're really thankful for that. So if you are interested in coaching, mindset coaching, or anything, you can look back at one of our older episodes that we go over the 4 main pillars and areas that we specialize in our coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, please reach out. We'd love to chat with you about it. So the first one is on us, and then we can go from there. So
sounds good.
With that, just don't forget to go forward in power,
love,
and a sound mind.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.
Peace.